Greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads. And, as always, welcome back to our Around the Hearth discussion. This time we're discussing Lawful Neutral characters, and the Lawful Neutral alignment and tips for playing such characters, and examples of such characters to draw from. So, sit down, warm your feet by the fire, grab your preferred beverage of choice, and join the discussion in the comments section below. But first, we've got announcements. So, always less than 5 minutes. You can time me. Here we go. This is coming out in the next year, and we've just recorded the Lawful Good, so this is happening right after that. You guys have seen already now some of the updated graphics that we've done for the Inn of Planar Crossroads. Hopefully you're enjoying them. If you absolutely think that they are the most amazing thing you've ever seen, then you can tell me so in the comments. If you absolutely think they are the most horrible thing you've ever seen, you can tell me in the comments. Either way, I'm okay with that. So, just put it in the comment section below. That's really all I have, because we're going to be we've already done an announcement video last month when this comes out. So there's no real reason to do a lot of announcements until there's more to announce. So, in that vein, I'm done with mine. Dan, do you have any more announcements for Avenue Studios before we jump into the Lawful Neutral?
Pretty much the same as last time. We're on Rumble, we're on YouTube, we're on podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. And check out the holiday one-shot that we shot in Cogent. That wrapped up New Year's Eve, and it was a really great time. And then hopefully very soon in this new year, we will be beginning to broadcast on Twitch, broadcast our Patreon games, and hopefully some other one-shots. So we'll be adding that to our repertoire. And, I didn't mention last time, I'd probably be getting, whenever this comes out, I'll be some stuff with Van Gogh from the Open Legend Discord and the content he's coming out. Very excited about that. It's been really cool to work with him. So check that out as well.
Yep. There should be, he glitched a little bit there, but that, yes, the Van Gogh thing should come the next month from when this goes out. So this should come out a little bit before that. The Kickstarter is going to be going. So
he's got some great stuff, especially if you're an Open Legend. It's awesome. Really excited.
We'll probably be doing some content on that ourselves over here at the Inn of Planar Crossroads as well, so you can look forward
please.
To it. So that's all that we've got, I guess, for this announcements. Let's sit down by the fire, warm our feet, and discuss Lawful Neutral. This time, you guys start, because I started Lawful Good.
What do you think?
Okay.
You want me to start, or you got it?
I don't know. So Lawful Neutral is they follow a set of laws, but they're more personal set of laws in a way, right? That's kind of what I was getting.
That's
through
what
it.
you feel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I still think they're a little outside of a person too, and then but there's no. My inclination is that Lawful Neutral, because they're not going for the good or for selfish reasons.
It's for whatever that code is or whatever that law is.
Is the ultimate goal versus what we discussed in Lawful Good.
Yes.
It being law for the good. Yeah.
And I had my example.
Oh,
so I always
excited.
have to bring back Fallout.
Yes.
So Brotherhood of Steel in the games, they are just out to preserve technology. So even though there's all this terrible stuff happening all around them, and they have the technology, they have everything to help other people, they don't. They're just out to collect technology and to preserve it. So they even they found out that the super mutants couldn't replicate or have babies and stuff, and they were like, let's not kill them off or anything to help anybody, let's just leave it, even though we found that out. But because their sole purpose was for preserving technology, and they let other pieces fall where they may. So
I think that's a really good one. I didn't think about that one.
Yeah, especially in the first and second Fallouts, when they were still CRPGs and not 3D yet, they were very much a kind of like technological monk style order, monastic order, rather than a full-on militaristic one like we see in the subsequent games. So I can see that being very much argued, especially for the previous iterations, and then in certain ways for the modern iterations of 3 through 4. 3 through 4, because and it's two variations also of what that might be interpreted as, because you have lawful neutral that kind of leans more towards good, and then you got the lawful neutral that leans more towards evil, and as it's presented in Fallout 4, they're a little more leaning towards what it might be considered in the evil side, because the other factions that are in the area, Maxon and his Brotherhood of Steel, the way he runs the Brotherhood of Steel, very much intervenes and says these people need to follow our rules. We don't need to follow their rules. Like the Minutemen, those guys need gone. They're not helping us enforce our rules. And then the Railroad, we don't need those synths and stuff. Them trying to protect all these synths are getting in the way of our operations. Let's take them out. And then this Institute, well, the Institute's evil anyway, so. But fight me in the comments if you want to. But
fight me.
Yeah.
I don't care. Fight me in the comments if you want to.
Come at me.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean I'll fight back. I'm just saying you can start a fight in the comments and I don't have to do anything with it. It's more engagement for me. But that's a good way to see that that's a lot different than what you saw in Fallout 3, where the Lions, when they were running the Brotherhood of Steel, they wanted to help and use their technological prowess to assist in the water purification because it benefited everybody. Now, they still were going to benefit the Brotherhood of Steel first. It was Brotherhood of Steel first, but they were willing to assist in that, and in fact were playing a larger role in it in order to get that done and have that water purification set up, because it was good for the entire area and it assisted in their goals. So leaning more towards the good on that one.
But still the motivation was just to keep themselves alive so then they could keep carrying out their mission of keeping all the technology.
Yeah, that's a really good example.
Keeping control of the technology so that it... Yeah. And in certain ways it was altruistic when it began to do so that it wasn't used for evil purposes again. Like, so that a Fallout situation doesn't happen again. But then that's not how things stay. So, there you go. So that's one. She's got them. What about you, Dan?
Well, I'm gonna go with I was thinking about one other character, but I'm not so sure. I'm actually wondering what you guys think about something like going kind of back to Aurora, but the Cleric of the Grave, because I have played this type of character before, and I love it. I love playing this character, who is Cleric of the Grave, and the way I interpret it was maintaining the balance. There can't be too much life, and there can't be too much death. Too much of one or the other is going to destroy the balance, and it's this constant struggle. But he's lawful. He's not going to practice necromancy. He's also not he's going to kill people who need to be killed, and he's going to only save those who should be saved based on his deity's law. So he was very lawful neutral, but tended towards the good because I played him. So I thought that one was really fun in like playing the balance of it, specifically on the neutral. So I had my law of my deity that there needed to be balance, necromancy bad, but also too much life, bad, which would be immortality and necromancy both being bad.
Mm-hmm. Aurora's not too much life is bad.
Right.
Necessarily.
Not necessarily. Yeah, it's more the souls must go where they belong after they pass. Yep.
Mm.
So that that character I really enjoyed playing. And it was a delicate balance in an enjoyable way of not always saving everyone.
Right.
Because his thing was, if it's your time, this is your time. And that's okay. It made me think a little bit of the Gray Jedi code where it says, was it life is freedom and death is purpose. That actually fit that character pretty well, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And to be frank, the Gray Jedi are pretty much the lawful neutral setting for the Force users. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you're a Force user and you kind of balance it out, you're kind of a Gray Jedi, from what I understand. I am not a lore buff in the Star Wars setting, so you lore buffs in the Star Wars setting, you can
Zach,
let us know.
Comment below.
Yes. Yes, please.
So, I would venture to say that you have the normal, what we call normal Jedi, I guess, the Jedi Order over there that's lawful good in the perceptions and the way that the law is implemented, the preservation of life, like you're saying. Then you have the Gray Jedi, who are about the balance between the light side and the dark side, and how the idea of yin and yang, everything good has some dark in it. Everything light has some dark, and every dark has some light. Now, I mean, I don't personally agree with that, because, that's not how light works. But, that aside, the idea of the Gray Jedi being the lawful neutral setting for the Force works, and works well when it's implemented that way. And not just you use this much force power of this side and you use this much force power of this side. Actually putting that into the story of it makes it very useful. To my understanding, the final idea of what Luke Skywalker ends up being is a Gray Jedi.
I've heard that too.
I think the expanded universe, he became a full-on Jedi, taught, but went over to the dark side for a while and came back understanding that it's a balance between the two. And I would argue that the way we see Yoda the first time we ever saw him when he was in the movies, like the first 3 movies, the good ones, that were released, episodes 4, 5, and 6, those present him, and they present the Force actually in a way that is much more in the line that a Gray Jedi would understand it than in what a full-on Jedi would understand it. So that's just my headcanon that Yoda became a Gray Jedi too, but because he also dipped into both sides of the Force.
Right. Yeah, and that was after going 4, 5, and 6. It's after all of the destruction, the fall, and him bearing that burden that might have
maybe being
him.
a recluse, kind of
recluse, yeah.
Coming out of everything, stepping back a little bit from everything going on. I feel like it affects people. You're not totally immersed in everything all the time.
Well,
much it has affected me.
I would almost argue, because we've been talking about Star Wars for lawful good and lawful neutral, is that the Jedi during Anakin's time had shifted almost to a lawful neutral, and that's why things went falling apart. It might be on the neutral good side slightly a matter of perspective, but they became so obsessed with just the way things are and not looking at the effect on the whole that they lost sight. So that's a little my headcanon.
I think some of the extended lore has it put out there that the fall of the Jedi came about as the Force's will, because they had become so powerful, so influential, that the light was overshadowing, the dark side. There was too much light side, and the dark side was dying away, and the Force exists as both. And so that there is that in the that balance being upset that some point to as argument towards the idea that the will of the Force was to have that balance. And I'm not sure if will is the right word, because a characterization of the Force as a personage, something with a will, is, from what I remember, a bit more modern than it was in the original lore. So if it's just a force of nature, it's like salt water. You got salt water on one side and you got fresh water on the other. It's eventually going to have to equalize.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
So we've got those. Now I've got one to throw out. I think if you're talking about Lawful Neutral, you have to talk about Judge Dredd.
Yes, I was thinking about him.
Because
he,
that quote, "I am the law," is very much him. He is the law. He sleeps with his helmet on, for crying out loud. He does not take it off, ever. Because he is the law. Yeah, there's a feat for that. There you go. But the reason I bring up Dredd is because, depending on his iteration, he leans more lawful evil or lawful good. And it's been interesting, from what I understand about the comics, the Judge Dredd that you see early in his career, because it actually happens in sequence with the year. So the year that it started, that comic happened that year. And then when that year passed, a year turned over in the comic. So the next year, this thing happened in the comic, and so on and so forth. So he's like 60 years old now or something.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought that was neat that they did that.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's gone through, from what I understand, he was very, very hard-nosed at the start. Almost lawful evil, the way he was presented. And as he's gone on, he's shown more and more, as he got weathered and worn through work in the Force, he has shown more instances of mercy in his judgments. And so he started to lean more lawful good. He is not lawful good in a stretch of the imagination necessarily, but he is showing instances towards good rather than towards pure, just like the law is everything. And like the law is his God type thing. And this was demonstrated pretty well. The best video demonstration of Judge Dredd. Sorry, it's not Judge Dredd from the 90s. I mean, it's a corny show, and the design is cool on some of the stuff, but that's not really a very good representation of Judge Dredd. Sorry. But
it's fine. More comments.
Yeah, more comments. Tell me how much you love the 90s Dredd in the comments. But the actual Dredd that, what's his face played? Not Colin. No. He's been on The Boys. He was show and stuff like that. But he played Dredd. Never took his helmet off, which was a good point, because it's all about Dredd being a faceless personification of the law.
Mm-hmm.
But also, at the very beginning of the show, they walk by a vagrant, and he says, "You better not be there when we come back out." Now, if that was early Dredd, he would have said the cubes, 1 month, or however, whatever the punishment was, and have him taken off. But that Dredd said, "You better not be there when we get out." That's a more mature, older Dredd. Well, older in a relative sense, as far as the comic's concerned, saying, "Don't be there when we get back." And arguably, he should have taken. That was an instance of mercy, an instance of good being exercised. He gave him basically a warning, like, "Don't be there when we get back." He did that within the purview of the law. he didn't do it because it was good necessarily, but he did it because he wanted to do that. It would have been...
Right.
There was a lot of factors that probably went into that decision for him to say, I'm not going to try and arrest this person. I'm on a mission right now. I'm on another case. So...
And I put my head down because I was thinking, I believe there is, at least I know for American law with cops, that I can't remember the word. There's like a phrase where they can have some interpretation in a specific event within the law, like not necessarily giving a speeding ticket if they interpret the event. And it has, comment below if you know what I'm talking about. There's a specific...
If there's a law you're watching, comment below to let us know.
For that.
First off,
so
I'm surprised that a lawyer's watching us. So
yeah, hey, everyone can play D&D, right?
Everybody can play tabletop games.
Yes.
So I guess it could happen.
But yeah, you could say that if that was in, we're not talking true canon, but if that was in, technically he's not breaking the law, and it's allowing him that little space for that without breaking his code.
And so we see that personal implementation of a code. This is something that's important when you go and you look at the way codes are interpreted in D&D and Pathfinder especially, but in other settings as well. Whatever your setting is, because all of these alignment things are dependent upon your setting. We're assuming already that you have set a cosmic alignment in your setting to even bother watching these, unless you're just curious. But in the same way that lawful good is what I would characterize as a paladin, lawful neutral is what I would characterize as monk or samurai. They very much define lawful neutral. The samurai have the Bushido code, and no matter what anybody else does, they will follow the Bushido code. They must do that. That's what makes them, that is their purpose. It gives them purpose. The law, just like the spirit of the law is served in the lawful good, the letter of the law is served in the lawful neutral because the law brings order and purpose. And that's how they see it. And to them, that is morally good to them in their mind of what that is supposed to be. Now that, you get into morality and stuff like that, it's going to get kind of personal morality and not cosmic morality. It's going to get kind of fuzzy. But as far as saying this group of things define this group of things, Idori from Pathfinder is a very good example of that. The monk god, the guy that ascended to godhood through his own monkiness, I guess we'll say, through his own self-perfection. That was his goal. He perfected himself and basically became a god in that. And that's where I think lawful neutral is shown mystically, in your particular settings, to be a strongly represented one. You do have things, deities like Abadar, or any of those city-building gods, any of those civilization gods, that very much personify law alone. And you have planes of like Axis that are definitions of law alone. But you also have Airori defining law, and it representing not a culture, not a law that is specific to everybody, but a personal perfection that you can strive for to become more than you are. And so there's both that impersonal law and a personal code being shown there. And those are good examples to look to for trying to wrap your head around cosmic morality, a cosmic alignment, I should say.
Yeah, I really like that, to think of the difference. I like that of the lawful good being law is used for a greater purpose, but for the lawful neutral, the law, whatever that is, the goal
is the purpose.
Is the purpose.
Yeah. So the lawful good uses the law for the good. The lawful neutral, the law is the good. That's how they would perceive it. That is the good. Or like you guys put it, that is the perfection. That is the appropriate thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then when we get to lawful evil, and that's not going to be the same. So, let me see.
I like it.
We're at 28, including bloopers right now. So, any final things you want to bring up?
How about you? What are you thinking? No? The one character I had, I'll just throw it out for people to think about. Maybe they could even discuss in the comments. And I because I've been waffling on, is Dexter from the TV show and its books, right? The serial killer who kills serial killers and other evil people. Because his adopted father gave him a code, and he even tells multiple characters, my rules for picking my targets is more thorough than the law of the land, and he remains at that, but he's definitely not morally within the world they're created. Wouldn't be considered good. Morally good,
but he's doing it good.
But he's doing things that have a good end. Like, I don't know. So I was kind of toying with that. I think he might. I think you could make the argument he's lawful neutral.
Think so?
At least at the start,
because
he's not acting selfishly.
Is he?
As long as he follows a code that's outside of him. His father laid down a code, and he knows if he breaks it,
then he'll get
he
caught.
has this power. Well, he'll get caught. Yeah, and
So
he almost does when he has that guy.
Yeah. So I would venture to say, this is just me. So you're putting it out there. My 2 cents is, I would venture to say he's not lawful neutral, that he's lawful evil. And I'll tell, and actually a good representation of how you can use lawful evil in a campaign without destroying everybody else is fun.
Yeah.
But that's for the lawful evil discussion next time. The idea is this. The lawful good uses the law to serve others.
Yep.
The lawful neutral uses the law to serve the law. And you can argue for the community's best benefit, but that's not really necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lawful evil says the law is not for their benefit, but for mine. Dexter doesn't follow the code, and he doesn't follow the laws of the land at all because he wants to. He does it because he has to, or he's not going to be able to do what he wants to do. He wants to kill people. He wants to commit this evil act of killing somebody, but he can't get away with killing everybody that he wants to.
Yep.
So he must do this to not get caught.
Yep. That's very fair. We should save it more for lawful evil then. That's a really good discussion on that.
Evil.
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 That's good. I'm glad I brought that up. Awesome.
So that's mine. On my 2 cents about your character, I think that is a good idea of using lawful neutral to show the balance between. We didn't remark specifically on that. So it's a good idea, especially when you're dealing with life and death characters, having that balance, like we were talking about with the Gray Jedi, which is what that led into, is a good way of doing that. I've wanted to make a character that was a death character, maybe like a Tengu or something, Tengu Oracle, in the Pathfinder when I was thinking about it, Tengu Oracle of Death, but they're constantly going behind and going after and seeking. They're the black crow, all very characteristic. They're constantly going after their twin, who is an albino crow that is going around and just making more life, all the time. And this other crow is constantly seeking after that crow, trying to balance out what their siblings doing. And they eventually, at the end of the characters' arcs, they would have to come to blows, and they probably both end up killing each other to maintain the balance. Or, if Death won, he probably would kill himself, because
death is purpose.
Or something like that. So.
That's really cool. Yeah. No, I love that.
All right.
Yeah, and I highly recommend it. Try it as a character. I love my Ajal. He was a great character. So much fun to play.
All right. Okay, any final remarks before we cut this out? All right.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for stopping by, travelers. We hope you enjoyed your time here at the Planar Crossroads. We thank you for putting up with us for so long as you have, and are enjoying the start of 2022 when these are coming out. As always, have a great day, God bless, and enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
These never
Because
stay in
this
my
one I
ear.
have my ear cuff and it pushes it out.
They're little dudes
Oh,
in my
the
ear that go.
Little Bluetooth earphones. They don't like staying in Dan's ears.
I don't know if you saw what we're talking. It just pops out. It's just I never use these kind. I have to have the ones that hook around.
Mm-hmm.
I just imagine little dudes like pressing their back up against my ear and just pushing with their legs until it falls out.
No, that's your ear hair.
That's my ear hairs. Yeah. Like, what is this? Get off!
This is uncomfortable. We do not appreciate this.
These do not belong here.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I feel like I need to hold it this way because it looks cooler.
It's true. It's
Cool design.
Viking designs for my. Well, there's Celtic.
Celtic,
in it too.
yeah.
The designs are fairly have a lot of similarities because of how often they interacted with each other. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
not necessarily
they
in
just need
pleasant
some dragon
ways.
heads or something. Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
I did. They do mix. I made a thing for her brother and his ex-wife because she was Celtic and he was Norse. So I did the Celtic knot with Norse.
With the
seams.
the dragon
The
heads.
dragon heads. Yeah. But did the continuous circle and the dragons consuming each other. So they mix so well together. That's
Yeah,
why we
mine
go
go
so
fun.
well together.
Yeah.
Norse girl and an Irish boy.
I took over your people.
I have conquered your people.
What a way to go. What a way to go.
Oh yeah, you look so miserable. So
Yeah,
miserable.
I know.
Terrible way to
I
go.
would totally be a shield maiden.
Yeah, you would.
Oh my gosh, I'm low to the ground. I would just like take people out. Like it'd be great.
That's the first thing she goes to say how good of a shield maiden she would be. I'm so low to the ground.
Center
Not
of
hey,
gravity,
I'm brave. Not hey, I'm strong. Not hey,
Oh,
look
those
at
are
how
already
well I
given, like-
handle this spear. No, it's like I'm so low to the ground.
I'm like a dwarf. It's great. I just need an axe.
I love you. Those other things are all just assumed. They don't need to be spoken.
No.
I like talking fun things, not serious stuff.
Oh, I know.
Oh, I mean, we're only talking the alignment of the cosmos and those fates of
Yeah.
souls
I know,
and
that's
planes. There's nothing
It's too
big.
relatable to life, though, man.
I don't know.
I mean, you say that. I am a preacher, so yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so hard. Well, it's like I think Kristen was talking to me after you guys did the general alignment videos.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
she was asking about my days. It's like
Asking you about what?
my deities. And it's like I did have
Oh,
influences
yes,
from the
in your
9
world.
alignment thing, but it's like also I'm playing them and I made the world, so like it tends towards my compass that I follow. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
even the neutrals, I kind of know if they're good or evil, you know. So it always gets tricky. Humans make things tricky.
Well, personal alignment makes things tricky.
Yeah.
Cosmic alignment can be pretty straightforward.